When icons Tom Selleck and Sam Elliott first crossed cinematic paths over 50 years ago, neither could have predicted the parallel journeys awaiting them as juggernauts of the Western genre. Yet Selleck maintains he spotted in Elliott early on a steadiness of identity and clarity of purpose propelling his rapid rise. Now, after countless collaborative miles traveled, from fledgling cameo cowboys to elder flag bearers of cowboy lore, Selleck confirms his long-standing readings of Elliott's strengths were right all along. Join Facts Verse as we trace their intertwined stories. Early days on Lancer. In 1969, a clean-shaven Tom Selleck made his acting debut with a minor part in the Western TV series Lancer. That same season, an equally fresh-faced Sam Elliott also guest-starred on the show for an episode. According to one account, Elliott's appearance came shortly after Selleck's, with both men at the dawn of their careers. Elliott played a settler named Renslow, who crosses paths with the show's protagonists when his horse gets stolen. What the rising actors could not have expected was that their names would one day rank among the great Western stars. But Selleck claims that even then, Elliott exuded a centeredness and a clarity of aspiration that stood out. In one interview years later, Selleck remarked that his friend and soon-to-be frequent co-star seemed to have a better grasp on his goals. He remarked that Elliott gave the impression of already being more fully formed compared to his own developmental stage at that age. By the late 60s, both men were enrolled in a talent incubation program at Fox, seeking to groom future television leads in a studio system style. But where Selleck allowed that he was still actively honing his craft, he believed Elliott boasted both an evident command of the work and a vision for his path forward. Having fostered a friendship even before their first screen meeting, Selleck said he held a long-standing assessment of Elliott as more settled into an identity and direction. He said in 1999 that Elliott never wavered during those early years from certainty about his interests and the types of roles he hoped to take on. Meanwhile, Selleck considered himself to be actively shaping his skills and scoping out options. But he found Elliott's clearly defined aspirations so soon into his acting journey striking. Reuniting for the Sacketts. Over a decade after crossing paths on Lancer, Selleck and Elliott landed co-starring roles together in an NBC miniseries adapting a classic Western novel. The Sacketts followed three brothers in the years after the Civil War as they embarked on a search for a lost family treasure. Joining Selleck and Elliott was fellow rising star Jeff Osteridge, who portrayed the third Sackett brother. The 1979 production assembled an impressive ensemble cast led by Western cinema legends Glenn Ford and Ben Johnson. Writer-producer Jim Burns had initially favored other actors during casting, but Selleck's determined audition finally won him the studio's approval. Looking back on landing his breakout role, Selleck admitted relief at having been honest about his limited horseback riding skills, despite most actors feeling pressure to exaggerate their abilities. He impressed producers by demonstrating a willing attitude, though, and a coachability. And assuming he still trailed Elliott in cowboy preparedness, Selleck thanked the production for taking a chance on him. But Selleck quickly gained repute as a fast study during weeks training alongside mentors like Oscar winner Johnson. Meanwhile, Elliott helped spur Selleck's engrossment in Western lore with behind-the-scenes bonding on set. And while Selleck remained in absorption mode, he still saw his friend exhibiting the same self-assured poise that he first saw a decade prior. In one interview, Selleck pointed to Elliott's consistency of vision again, despite now sharing the screen in their first marquee collaboration. If Elliott ever privately second-guessed his qualifications during the demanding mini-series shoot, Selleck detected no external evidence of it. Instead, he insisted Elliott appeared as comfortable in his boots as always and as clear on his creative trajectory. On and off-screen kinship. Selleck and Elliott built on their rapport forged during the Sacketts by re-teaming on other high-profile westerns in the next decade. In 1982, they reprised brotherly roles for the TV film The Shadow Riders alongside Osterhage. This adaptation featured Selleck and company as members of a fictional family caught in the crosshairs of warring factions following the Civil War. The actors seamlessly recaptured their chemistry even with years now lapsed. Accounts describe shooting schedules accommodating ample bonding opportunities that only enriched their on-screen dynamic. In one scene requiring Elliott's character to be thrown from an accelerating wagon, he entrusted Selleck alone to oversee the safe rigging of the practical effects. Whether playing factual siblings as they did on the Sacketts or different variations of brotherly camaraderie, their natural rapport constantly shined through the material. But their solidarity also showed itself between takes through shared habits like playing cribbage and trading insights on mastering Western skill sets. Selleck continued to credit Elliott for pushing him during his pivotal career stage to immerse himself in cowboy culture beyond acting techniques. He cited the resulting fluency as a key ingredient later enabling him to embody beloved Western hero Tom Lance in The Lonesome Dove. According to some sources, had production timing worked out, Elliott would have gladly ridden alongside Selleck, bringing Larry McMurtry's novel to television as well. While that dream project failed to align schedules, Selleck has since voiced great openness to working again with Elliott if the right Western vehicle arose. The truth according to Selleck. Given decades of visibility into Elliott's journey parallel to his own, Tom Selleck has long voiced certainties about the qualities setting his friend apart. He has great admiration for the resoluteness with which Elliott carried himself even early on as up-and-comers. And while the two may have been similarly new to television when they first crossed paths on Lancer, Selleck believed Elliott had confidence around his passions that eluded Selleck at the same time. As they worked together frequently, Selleck witnessing his friend's natural command of scripts and sets, continuously reaffirming their early personality integration, they became closer and closer. While Selleck confessed he was learning to fuse with characters and stories as the 1970s progressed, he said with certainty that Elliott built every role from his grounded center of gravity outward. Even as Selleck went on to projects that were iconic like Magnum P.I., he would reiterate Elliott-anchored Western works from bedrock personal identity. So whether depicting ranch hands, gunslingers, or mentors, Tom Selleck has certainly said Elliott achieves on-screen authenticity by simply amplifying his off-screen self ever upward. He sees Elliott's Western output as extensions of the man, empowering him to confirm Elliott was indeed the more fully formed personality when their enduring friendship first sparked. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite Tom Selleck role? What's your favorite Sam Elliott role? Let us know in the comments section below.